Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from group 2, want to present to the result of our discussion, namely about the syllabus. The following are our members. First, Nurul Ilmi as speaker. Second, Jeni Puspita as speaker. Third, Sisi Septiana.D as speaker. Fourth, Rahmawati as speaker. And five, myself as a moderator and speaker. First, about definition and function of syllabus. The syllabus is a set of plans and arrangement for the implementation of learning and assessments, which are arranged systematically, which contains interrelated components to achieve mastery of basic competencies. The syllabus can also be interpreted as the translation of core competencies and basic competencies into subject matter or learning activities, and competency achievement indicator for assessment. The syllabus becomes a set of plans and arrangements for learning activities, class management, and assessment of learning outcomes. Jadi, silabus merupakan seperangkat rencana serta pengaturan pelaksanaan pembelajaran dan penilaian yang disusun secara sistematis yang memuat komponen-komponen yang saling berkaitan untuk mencapai penguasaan kompetensi dasar. Silabus dapat juga diartikan dengan penjabaran kompetensi inti dan kompetensi dasar ke dalam materi pokok atau pembelajaran, kegiatan pembelajaran, dan indikator pencapaian kompetensi untuk penilaian. Silabus menjadi seperangkat rencana dan pengaturan tentang kegiatan pembelajaran, pengelolaan kelas, dan penilaian hasil belajar. Next, the function of syllabus. The syllabus is developed based on competency standard, graduated and content standard for primary and secondary education units. According to the learning pattern in each particular year, the following are some of the common functions of the syllabus. The syllabus can be used as a guide in preparing student books. Student books contain subject matter, student activities, and learning evaluation. The syllabus is referenced in the preparation of learning plans for all subject studies or management of learning activities and the development of learning outcome assessment. The result of developing the syllabus in the form of learning tool serve as a tool for actualizing the curriculum operationally at the educational unit level, making it. Jadi, silabus ini dikembangkan berdasarkan standar kompetensi lulusan dan standar isi untuk satuan pendidikan dasar dan menengah sesuai dengan pola pembelajaran pada setiap tahun tertentu. Beberapa fungsi dari silabus, fungsi umum dari silabus yaitu silabus ini dapat dijadikan pedoman dalam penyusunan buku siswa. Buku siswa ini memuat tentang materi pelajaran, aktivitas peserta didik, dan evaluasi pembelajaran. Silabus menjadi acuan dalam penyusunan rencana pembelajaran untuk semua kajian mata pelajaran ataupun pengelolaan kegiatan pembelajaran dan pengembangan penilaian hasil pembelajaran. Hasil pengembangan silabus dalam bentuk perangkat pembelajaran berfungsi sebagai alat untuk aktualisasi kurikulum secara operasional pada tingkat satuan pendidikan sehingga memudahkan guru melakukan pembelajaran.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Ilmi and now I will explain about the syllabus development. The development of the syllabus can be carried out by the teacher independently or in groups in one school or several schools, etc. To develop the syllabus, we must know the principles of developing the syllabus itself. The principle is a rule that is the implementation of education unit level's curriculum element. There are several principles that should be used as a basis for the development of this curriculum, namely scientific, relevant, systematic, consistency, adequate or appropriate, actual or contextual, flexible, and comprehensive. Let's check one by one. Number 1 is scientific. It means that the overall material and activities the charge must be in the curriculum scientifically correct and variable. Considering the curriculum overview of the content or learning materials, learners has to be examined the materials or learning content must meet scientific truth. To this end, suggested in curriculum expert scientific fields each include subjects that matter learning is valid. Number 2 is the principle of relevance. It is indicate the direction that the scope, depth, degree, and difficulty and the order of presentation of the material must be physically in the curriculum according to the level development, intellectual, social, emotional, and spiritual learners. Number 3 is systematic. It refers to the component of the syllabus should be functionally interconnected to achieve competence in the curriculum. Because the curriculum is basically a system, therefore, it is in their preparation is carried out systematically. Basic skills should be referenced in the development of indicators, the standard material, determining the time, the choice of sources and media learning, and assessment standards. Number 4 is consistency. The principle of continuity that advises in the development of the curriculum of a relationship that is consistent between the basic competencies, indicators, subject, learning experience, resources learning, and assessment instruments are unidirectional to achieve the competency standards. Number 5 is sufficient. This principle is the direction that covers indicators, subject to learn experience, learning resources, and its evaluation system sufficient to support implementation of basic skills. Number 6 is actual and contextual. This principle direction that covers indicators, material meant, learning experience, learning resources, and rating system pay attention to the development of science, technology embodied in the reality of life. Science and technology develop rapidly in the development of society. Context means curriculum development is the context of the time should be reasonable and the lives of young people. In develops learning experience, the curriculum should using real-life situation in the middle of life. Number 7 is flexibility. This principle is the direction that the entire component of curriculum can accommodate the diversity of learners, educators, learning environment, and the dynamic change in society and the local education units. Syllabus should be flexible depending on the conditions and needs of learner and society. And the last one is comprehensive. It means that in developing the syllabus, indicators should cover all areas of competence that are cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Apart from being compatible with the development of learning materials, learning activities, and learning assessments, the overall principle must be placed in attainment of competence, which is manifested as a reflection of knowledge, values, attitudes, actions, and in a variety of life skills. Well, that's all that I can explain about the principle of developing syllabus. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Sisi Septiana.D. I will continue explain about components of syllabus. There are several components that must be in the syllabus. The first one is subject identity. Second one is school identity, contains the name of education unit and class. The third is core competence or KI, is a description of competence in the aspect of attitude, knowledge, and skill that students must be learned for school, class, and subject levels. Core competence include 4 dimensions that reflect spiritual attitude, social attitude, knowledge, and skill. The 4 dimensions are designed to integrate learning content subject and program in achieving graduate competency standard. Number 4 is basic competence. Basic competence or KD is a specific ability that includes attitude, knowledge, skill related to content or subject. Basic competence or KD is the ability to achieve core competencies that students must acquire through learning. 5 is achievement indicator. Indicators are behavior that can be measured or observed to show the achievement of certain basic competencies which become the reference for subject assessment. Competency achievement indicators are measure characteristic process that describe the achievement of a basic competency. 6 is main material, contain relevant fact, concept, principle, and procedures, and is written in the form of points is in accordance with the formulations of competency achievement indicators. The next point is learning is an activity carried by educators and students to achieve the expected competencies. The next point is assessment. Assessment is the process of collecting and processing information to determine the achievement of students' learning outcomes. Number 9 is time allocations. Time allocation according to the number of hours of lesson in the curriculum structure for one semester or 1 year. The last point is learning resources can be in the form of books, print, electronic media, natural surroundings, and or other relevant learning sources.
Okay, the next I will explain design a syllabus for a teaching context in Indonesia. The syllabus is developed through the following steps. 1. Assessing core competence and basic competence. Thing to consider in reviewing core competence and basic competence as follows. The first, core competence and basic competence sequences based on the hierarchical concept of discipline and or the level of material difficulty, not necessarily according to the order at which content is standard. The second, a link between core competence and basic competence in the subject. 2. Identifying the subject matter, things that need to be considered in identifying the basic material for the attainment of basic competence are as follows. Potential learners, relevance of area, characteristic, intellectual, emotional, social, and spiritual development. Benefit to learners, science building structure, actuality, depth and breadth of learning materials, relevance of the needs of learners and work demands, time displacement. It should also be noted authenticity is a matter of fact well established importance. Utilities, meaning that is give the basic of knowledge and skill at the next level of education. And then learnability. Material should be worth studying both on the level of difficulty and on the use of local teaching material and condition. Last, interest. It also does well to interest to students and to motivate them to study the material further. 3. Develop learning activities. Learning activities are designed to provide learning experiences that involve mental and physical process through interaction between learners with teachers, work on other learning resources in achieving basic competence. Things that need attention in developing learning activities are the first, learning activities are organized to provide assistance to educators, particularly teachers, and in order to carry out the learning process professionally. Next, learning activities contain courses that students must take in order to achieve basic competence. And sorting out learning activities must conform to the hierarchy of learning material. And the last, the formula for a minimum learning activity contains two elements that reflect the management of the student learning experience, that is student and material activity. Okay, I think enough. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Rahmawati. Now the last material. Number 4. Formulation basic competency achievement indicators. An indicator is a marker of the achievement of basic competency, which is marked by measurable change in behavior such as attitudes, knowledge, and skills, then developed in accordance with the characteristic of students, subject, educational units, regional potential, and formulates in measurable and or observable operational verbs. In addition, indicators are used as a basis for developing assessment tools, criteria in formulating assessment indicators, namely life skills, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Okay, number 5. Determine the assessment. Determine the assessment, there are two, namely the first, assessment technique. Assessment of the achievement of student basic competence is carried out based on using tests and non-tests, written in written and oral form. Performance observations, attitude measurements, assessment of work in the form of assignments, project and or products, use of portfolios and self-assessments. Okay, rating directed to measures the achievement of competence using reference criteria, plans based on a continuous assessment system. Okay, these results of the assessment were analyzed to determine follow-up. Follow-up is in the form of improvement to the next learning process. Remedy programs for students whose competency attainment is below the competence criteria, and enrichment programs for students who have met the competence criteria, and the assessment system must be adapted to the learning experience taken in the learning process. Okay, form of assessment instruments. Number 1, writing test. Number 2, oral test. Number 3, performance test. Number 4, observation. Number 5 is interview. Number 6 in portfolio. And then number 6, determining term allocation is determining the time of subject per week by considering the number of basic competencies, breadth, depth, level of difficult, and level of importance of basic competencies. Okay, the time allocation stated in the syllabus is and estimate of the average time to master the basic competence needed by various students. For example, 2 times 45 minutes in one meeting. Okay, the last determine learning research. Reference, object and or material used for learning activities in the form of print and electronic media, search, as well as the physical, natural, and social, cultural environment. Okay, I think enough. I'm sorry for my mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Back to moderator.
The conclusion of this discussion is a syllabus is a learning plan for a particular subject or them group that includes competency standard, basic competencies, subject matter, learning activities, indicator, assessment, time allocation, and learning resources or material or tools. As for the benefits of the syllabus for teacher as a guide in planning the implementation of learning, as a guide in implementing a learning process and developing an assessment system. Okay, thanks for your attention and I think enough. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.